Hey, what's up guys? It's Lego Hobo 910 here with another Lego video, and in this video it's just kind of a quick showcase over this little micro-scale medieval village that I built. It kind of just started with building the church there, because I saw this one Allen wrench piece, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna build a church off that because it looks kind of like a cross. Then from there I started building buildings, and I'll show you those in the order I built them. And then eventually, it just expanded to become rather large, and I made it a port town. And this was just kind of a little mini M.O.C that I never really planned on building, but did anyway, and I think it looks really great. So let's go and look at the church then, look at the buildings in the order I built them. This is where I started the build. As you can see, I used the tire iron piece for a cross, which I mentioned earlier. Then also I used some 1x1s with the kind of bar on the side to create little columns on the outside, and finish them off with a 1x1 with hole, as well as cheese slopes that attach 2 bricks with studs on the side up above. I then used a window piece to represent the big doors. And something you'll notice with most of the buildings throughout here is they are just on these little green base plates. So when I first built the church, I just put it on that base plate, not intending to build any more city. And then I started building other buildings, and then eventually near the end, when I had them all attached to a base plate, I just started building straight onto the base plate. Then, also if we turn it around here, you can see these stained glass windows, which I just built up using some various studs and tiles. I also, once again, just used bricks with studs on the side to get a bit more detailing, as well as a little arch there. And if we turn the whole thing around to the back here, you can see the cemetery, which has a similar tree design to the ones in the Hogwarts castle, except this one uses the old plant stock pieces. I then have a little purple flower, as well as a few tiles for headstones. The second building I built here was this blacksmith shop, and as you'll notice, this is kind of out of scale of the church. It's actually a bit bigger than the church, except churches are supposed to be much larger buildings, and scale in this thing kind of bounces all around because I've never really built in micro scale before, so I'm not exactly sure how it works. There's only about 2 buildings in the scale of the church, as well as a few other small things, and then everything's in about the scale of this blacksmith shop. But like I said, I haven't had much experience with micro scale before, so scale kind of bounces all around the place. I'm not exactly too good at micro scale. It's something I think I want to improve on. It's kind of fun. So first up in front here, we have the Anvil, which is built out of a 1x1 with then one of the kind of circle things off the side, where I then attach 2 black cheese slopes to get that shape. I also have 3 knives around the shop to represent swords in this scale here. And then I also have a few flame pieces back there, obviously for the flames. Then on the side here, I have a little water wheel, which can, actually spin, which I believe water wheels in blacksmith shops help blow air onto the fire to heat it up. And that stream just kind of runs down to the ocean, which we'll take a bit of a better look at later. And as you can see, the roof is built on hinges to get that angle. And I've also used some cheese slopes to kind of smooth out the roof at the bottom. I'm just going to pop this off so you can see inside a bit better. Overall, I think the blacksmith shop may be my favorite building in this entire city. I'm not exactly sure why. I think maybe it's because it's the first one in this scale I built it in. Plus, I just think it looks really cool, and I'm proud of some of the techniques I used. Next building I built was this little windmill, and this is right next to the church, and it is in the church scale. I built kind of the farmland around it, and also on all the other buildings, built the path leading to kind of the town square afterwards, and also I built the farmland afterwards. I just built the mill on the little green base plate there, and I used kind of a airplane propeller for the actual mill itself, as well as a little yellow roof piece for the top. And then over next to it, I believe this is the building I built next to continue the farm. This is a little barn, and I'm aware medieval barns probably didn't look like this, but it's just the style I wanted to go for, and this is my build. I do what I want. I had then built this little cow here, and my original build looked kind of funny. It looked like a zebra, so I changed it. I also have this little chicken here, and then I actually do have plenty of detail on the inside of the barn. This is one of the only buildings detailed on the inside. So I'll kind of pop off the roof so I can show you the detail inside. When I originally built this, I didn't build it with the roof being able to come off, and as you can see, it kind of rips some of it off. It generally rips off a bit of red at the back. I thought, though, that if I left the white off, you could kind of see inside a bit better. As you can see, I use a grill plate as a fence because it has little lines kind of indicating fence beams, as well as kind of a little pile of hay back there built out of some yellow bricks. And I think that kind of makes the barn stand out among all the other buildings, the fact that it has a full interior. This is about where I start to lose track of what I built next. I believe this town square is what I built next, though. It's kind of a market town square thing. And this really evolved as I built, because originally it was just these 4 market stalls, the flag, and the golden statue. But then, eventually I added these paths along it to kind of connect it to other places, as well as a few chairs around it. And I added a white and a black statue after building Hogwarts, because they had extra pieces for the white and the black. And originally, this market stall's roof was yellow, but then I switched it out to white so I could use the yellow for a different building, which you'll see a bit later. So if I lift it up here, you can kind of see those 3 statues in the middle, different elevations, the gold being the highest, then the black, then the white. We also have the gold and blue flag, which is one of the highest things in the city. The stall with the white roof over there kind of sells various metal such things. I don't really know what everything I built in here was meant to represent. I just kind of built whatever I felt fit in. In the blue stall there, we have kind of some produce, fruits, and vegetables type thing. The orange one is a bit harder to see in, as it has a much larger roof, which sticks out more. If I get a lower angle, you can see some gems in there. And then finally in the red one, I just put kind of a little pink ice cream cupcake topper piece, because I had it laying around and I thought it could represent some pastry or cake of something at this scale. And like I said, this build definitely evolved the most. All of them, well, the majority of them slightly changed as I built to kind of attach them into their surroundings or build paths off them to just make them work with the other buildings, except I think this one changed the most out of everything. I believe next I built the red roofed house, and I also took out the flag here so that way it wasn't in the way of your viewing. And as you can see, it has kind of a dark red door, and then just used red slopes to build it up. Just kind of a simple little build for a house. And then I built the blue roofed house, which uses dark blue for its roof, as well as having a gray door, and I used a brick with a Technic pin to kind of have it look like it has a little peephole. And once again, just a very simple build, slightly different shape and size. I then used a neck bracket chair outside, and also in the town square, I forgot to mention, a neck bracket chair there, as well as one way back there. That's those houses. The next building we're moving on to is kind of an interesting building. It definitely changed purpose as I built it, so let's go look at that one next. We're looking at, except we can't really see it that well from this angle, which is the angle we've been seeing the most of so far. So I'm actually gonna 180 the whole M.O.C so that way you can get a better view of this. This is actually the final build to be built on a separate base plate and then attached to the M.O.C, because after I built this one, I was like, you know what, I'll start laying them out on the base plates. So then everything built after this was just built directly on the base plates. And so this was originally meant to be a large inn or a large house of some sort. But then I kind of decided, you know, it'll be like a inn pub type thing. So I added this 1x4 in dark brown to be a sign, as well as adding a few kind of glowing windows at the top. Then when I started laying it into the M.O.C, I decided it'd be a cool idea to put it by the shore and kind of have it be an inn for people traveling along the ocean or people just coming into the city to stay. So then I built this lighthouse on top so it could also help direct boat traffic. We follow the little jumper plate trail down to the shore here. We have a tiny, slightly one-stud elevated dock, and coming into the dock is this small ship, which is, once again, out of scale with everything else. This is kind of in the church and mill scale, but overall I think it looks really cool, and I have this big wave in the front, as well as many other waves around, and now we're going to go look at the building next to this. Build here is the first one to not be built on a separate base plate than attached. As you can see, it's just built straight into the terrain. And this is just a little fishing shop I built. This building and the next two were kind of an attempt to fill up some empty space here along the front of the M.O.C. And as you can see, here's the stream from the blacksmith shop where it flows into the ocean. So this is a little fishing store type thing. And I really struggled to kind of get that across. I built it up, built this cool roof, except I didn't really know how to show that this is a fishing store. So I decided I might as well take a minifigure scale fish and clip it on as kind of a fish sign. And then I attached another neck bracket chair here, with then a rope coming from it with a red stud on it to kind of simulate a bobber. And I even put some little blue studs as kind of bubbles going towards it to kind of show a fish coming up to take the bait. And overall, I think this is a cool but very small, simple shop. While we're here, we can also kind of take a better look at some of these rocks here. As you can see, just a few spiky rocks along the coastline with them waves crashing upon them. We have this little bakery here, and this is one of the other 3 builds that I put along this area to kind of fill it in. As you can see, it has a yellow roof. This is where the yellow roof came from that I stole from the market here. And this has a dark red door as well. It's just a very simple build. I then attached a smokestack, then kind of this big billowing smoke coming from the top, which I think looks kind of cool and creates a neat effect. This was also kind of put here because there was nothing on this side of the road, whereas here you have a path leading to the farm, the path to the church, except there was nothing there, so I decided I might as well put the bakery there, because being next to the mill makes sense, because then it'll grind the flour, then you can take it to the bakery and bake the bread. Build here was kind of built to create an atmosphere over here of a forest. This really wasn't just the building itself, but also building the forest. As you can see, I have one tree using the same technique as the Hogwarts trees, as well as some using similar techniques, and then also some using the same technique as the one in the cemetery at my church over there. But then I also have some where it's like this, using some of these flower pieces, and I even have one that's kind of purple-leaved, one using a lightsaber handle. I also have this kind of large tree using a stick with a stud with hole, and then some of these flower pieces upside down, and it creates kind of an evergreen look. I then also just have a few smaller stalks laying around. But then over here, this final build is the woodcutters. And as you can see, it's just kind of a small little building, and to kind of show that it was woodcutters, I obviously, put it in the forest, as well as building a few little stacks of logs here. It's just kind of a small little build, but I think it gets the point across and looks pretty nice. So that is my micro-scale medieval village M.O.C. And like I said, this wasn't really intended to be built. I was just kind of messing around and built a church there, and then the whole city got built kind of off that. And I really haven't built in micro-scale much. I have dabbled in it a bit, like I have that micro-scale Y-Wing video, and I've also just built some micro-scale things. I mean, obviously I built a micro-scale set, the Hogwarts set, but then, this is kind of my first large micro-scale M.O.C, and it really isn't that large. I say total build time was probably just, 5 or 6 hours, except it was spread over a few days. It was just kind of something quick I built for fun. Overall, I think it looks pretty nice. That's all, and peace.